Using Desmos, I want to store the data below in a table, and I want to find the regression line. The regression line is also called the best fit line for my data set. And so you can see my data set there, and I want to put that in a table, create a scatter plot, view the scatter plot by setting the window appropriately. So let's take a look at just the data in the first place so that we know what kind of window to set before we move on and over to Desmos. So my X data to 5. So what I might do on my window is set the data from, let's say, -1. And since it's 5, maybe I'll go to 7. It just needs to be outside the range of what your numbers are so that you're able to see all of the data. My lowest Y value is 733, so maybe I'll make this 700. And the highest value is 1,529, so maybe I make this 1,600 in terms of our window there. So why don't we go ahead and put our data into Desmos. All right, so we are on our home screen here. You come over to Add Item, and you want to scroll down and click Table, and then start inputting your data, 0 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After a while, it starts populating itself. And then my Y data was 133, 841, 964, 1162, 1346, and 1529. All right, you can see that actually there are no data points plotted because it's outside of our window range. So let's come to our wrench here in our graph settings and start to put in the window we wanted. So we said from -1, -1 to 7. And then our y-axis, we said 700, and the largest being 1,600. And all of a sudden, we are able to see our data points show up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's how much we have over here. So that's really great. And the next thing we want to do then is begin to find our regression line. So over on the left, we can see our it's a scatter plot with a line in between, and then you could see as soon as I hover near it, says add regression. So I'm just going to click that, and that adds our regression line, and we can see it puts the line right on there for us. We can actually choose from linear regression, quadratic, cubic, and so on. We're going to keep it as linear because that's what we're working on right now. And you can also see the equation that they've given us. For this line that they've drawn in, we see that some of our dots are above, some are below, some are right on the line. This is the line of best fit for the data that we have. We also have a very special statistic over here on the left, and that's the R-squared statistic. We have 0.9881, and that's very good. The closer this R-squared gets to 1.0, the better the line. So if it's at 0.9881, that's really close to a perfect match for this data. The other thing I will now do is I will click on this export a snapshot to the expression list. So click on that, and it will generate a y equals down here with this y equals regression line. Notice it also changed it to a nice green line on there. All right, so let's go back over to our Word doc here and put some things in there. So we have our linear equation from the data. Oh, I forgot to write that down myself. All right, so there it is. All right, let me write that down. Okay, coming back over here. Our linear equation is y equals 162.6514x plus 689.19048. Now I type all of it in, and you should as well. Your professor might indicate a certain rounding that they want you to do. I would just say put it all for now until they tell you otherwise. My R squared statistic was 0.9881, so you want to write that in there. And the next thing we need to do is use our linear equation to find these other values. So we're going to be predicting what happens if this table goes up to 10? What happens if the y part of the table goes up to 2000? What are the corresponding coordinates for those? So the reason why I exported that equation to this line here, line 2, is because now that I have my cursor clicked in here, I can now go to Edit List, and I move down to this equation right here, and I can generate a new table based on my regression line. So I'm going to generate that new table, and I already have these values in, but what I really want is x to be 10. And when x is 10, our y will be 2,315.7619. So let me go fill that in over here. So we have 2,315.7619. Now, you might be thinking, well, if we put 10 in x, can we put 2000 in y and have it generate x? And so let me show you. If I click over here and type 2000, it's actually not typing. I can't do that. So we go about this in a very different way. What we're going to do is we're going to click line 4, and I'm going to type y equals 2000. We want y to equal 2000. Oops, I put too many zeros there. Y to equal 2000. So now I have my linear regression line graphed, and I have my y equals 2000 graphed. I just can't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my graph settings, and I'm going to make my y-axis bigger than 2000. So let's make it 2500, something like that. And we can see that here's our linear regression line, here's 2000. They're going to meet over on the right somewhere, but I can't quite see that yet. So I can either click and drag, or I can make my x-axis go a little bit larger here. Let's say we go to 20. All right. Going to 20 is all the way out here, but it brought my intersection right dead center on my screen, and I can click that. And so when I click that, we can see that the number, x at y equaling 2000 is 8.05873. So we're going to come back and write that on our Word document here. So here we go, 8.05873. All right, so we were able to use our linear regression line from our data to then go ahead and predict other things based on the regression line, based on the model that Desmos created for us.